Well. Hello, lovely people. Shall we test some more mid-ranges? So, a few months ago, out of the blue, somebody texted me. It's like, I can send you some speakers if you want to test them. So, I have a very nice, lovely letter, but from this, I want to show you only this one. A passionate hobbyist when it comes to music and car audio. No shop, no business, no publicity. Thanks. So, yeah, some people care about audio in a way that they're willing to send stuff to test because obviously they're interested themselves. And to me personally, it's very cool. So I want to call this it's not going to be an ultimate mid-range shootout because it's only a few drivers. So a mini mid-range shootout 1.5 because it's not version 2. So all fun aside, let's talk about these drivers and what we're going to do with them. If we haven't watched, quite a while ago, I did the ultimate mid-range shootout where I tested probably like close to 20 different drivers. And with these drivers, I'm not going to explain anything how I test them because the testing is going to be exactly the same. I'm going to be using the same baffle, same techniques, same gear, everything is exactly the same. That's why all of these measurements from these drivers are going to be directly comparable to the ones that I did before. So very quickly, let's go through all the drivers that we have here. 7 drivers, 7 boxes, you can see. And let's start from this one, for example. This is an audio circle, which is this big box. So the box is big because in this box they ship like all the components up to 6.5. That's why the box is big. So these are BLM3. So Audio Circle, I'm not really familiar with this company, with this brand. It looks to be quite quality stuff from Germany, so it's a German brand. I cannot really say anything about the company because, again, I don't really know anything about it. But this mid-range is kind of cool because it has this dust cap. You can see like that. It looks very interesting. It has an interesting basket as well. You haven't seen a shape like this before. We can see some vents in the voice coil, and the basket seems to be metal. It looks like metal, very light. Very cool and interesting looking driver. The second one is this one, which is a Ciare. So Ciare is an Italian pro audio company. And when I saw this driver, I took it like this and I was like, that's Fatal Pro, because they look almost identical. The cone, however, is slightly different. It is a different material. It might be still paper, but it looks a bit different. Now with this, we have a stamped steel basket, ferrite magnet, very cheap. I do believe these cost about 200 euros for a pair, something like that. I saw them in the UK for 500 pounds for some reason, I don't know why, but these ones are really cheap, on the level of Fatal Pro, so I can expect very similar performance from them. High sensitivity, maybe not as nice, not as linear, but yeah, so these are supposed to be used, I would guess, in like a line array, because you can see there's literally no mounting. There's no screw holes, no nothing. So you would mount them in a baffle and you would have some kind of clamps or something holding it down. But yeah, very simple, very cheap driver. I think these go for like 20 euros or something for a driver. Very cheap. Ciare CM087, made in Italy. Next one in line, silver cone. This one is a DD Audio, which is this one, this box. And these drivers are A3MA. So DD Audio is more of an SPL company that makes big, massive subwoofers, but obviously they do have component sets as well. I know that Sam Bernard from Berwitz, he has DD Audio, I think it's a 3-way, and he is quite happy with them, so we will see how these perform. A red spider, looks very cool. Again, vents in the coil, and looks to be metal as well, the basket. But yeah, very nice little driver. Next in line, this one. This is Musway MG3M, which is this one. So Musway is an interesting company because I do believe they are like based in China, Chinese company. However, they do make some very good stuff. They do have DSP amplifiers that's supposed to be very good. They do have speakers. One thing that I really like what Musway does is they have modular fuse blocks. So if you haven't seen them, you can literally clip fuse blocks one to each other. You can link them and you can like make as many connections as you want. I wanted to buy those, but like 10-15 pounds per few, so it's kind of expensive. But these mid-ranges are the only ones in the bunch that have a face plug. You can see here in the middle, very, very nice shaped, and it's not attached to the cone. Very similar to the Alpine Status that I tested and the Illusion Audios as well. The motor is very small, looks to be probably neodymium, a red spider, and that's it. Very nice looking driver as well. Cool. Sticker. Okay, next one in line. This is a company that I haven't heard. Which is this one, Excursion. Apparently it's a German company as well, and I would imagine with this name they're more like an SPL company. So these drivers are come with a grill, same like those, with a grill attached. I believe DD Audio has a grill that you can snap on if you want. The other ones come without the grills. When you have a grill like this, it's a bit difficult to measure near field response because you cannot get the mic super close to the dust cap, and it has to be next to the grill further away. This feels quite hefty, and it does have, I believe, the biggest mounting depth from all of these drivers. I think this one is very similar in size. But yeah, Excursion. So the model name is PX3M. Next one, which is this company. How do you pronounce this? I have no idea. Awave? Awave? No idea. So again, this is a, I believe, Asian company made in China. So Chinese company, 85 dB. Wow, that's low. The model number is AW32. So second generation probably. This basket feels plastic. Yeah, it is plastic. The grill is attached. Big dust cap. I love the honeycomb grill. Same, yeah, actually these have exactly the same grill, but this is very nice looking driver. And I love when the grill kind of goes inside like that, not totally flat. This feels kind of chunky, but it is light. And the last one in the bunch is this orange thingy, which is Rebec. I think it's Rebec pronounced. This driver feels very heavy. So I would imagine it has a cast basket, maybe a ferrite magnet because it is quite big, but it feels substantially heavier than any of these drivers. I think this one feels the lightest, but this one is almost twice as heavy. Orange cone, not sure about the material. The driver is RL90, so their smaller ones RL70, and this is the bigger brother. All of these drivers are identical size, 3 inches, so it's going to be very easy to test because I will need only one ring. Cool looking driver, cannot say anything bad about it. So 7 drivers, not as much as last time. And again, I'm just reminding that if you want to see all the techniques, how I measure, what I used to measure, go back to the ultimate mid-range shootout and watch those videos where I go through every single little detail. In this one, I'm not gonna waste any time with the details, but we're gonna jump straight into the laptop and we're gonna have a look at all the measurements from these drivers. Okay, so without any further ado, let's do this. First, as always, as last time, impedance graphs. So I do have this table. You can see straight away if you want. You can pause and you can find the winner, but I'm gonna go through all of this, what I found. So the impedance, from the impedance graph, I took these, but the impedance itself, I marked DD Audio as in red and Audio Circle in orange. Now, why? Let me show you. DD Audio is this one, the blue one. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to leave it 1. We can see one little here, and we do have these squiggle wiggles. It's not that much. It's not a big of an issue. It's not a big of a deal, but compared to the others, this one has a few of these squigglies. Audio Circle is, again, from far away, it's kind of very flat, but we have something here, something there, and 2 of these little bumps over there. And all the rest, to be honest, they're kind of the same. There's no really one that kind of stands out. So from this, we can see straight away is we have 3 drivers that have quite higher inductance compared to the other ones, which is the Rebec, which has the highest inductance because you can see it goes the steepest up. Then we have Awave. I'm gonna call it Awave, which is the second highest. And then we have the Ciare, which is the third one. And all of these have very, very low inductance. And the DD Audio has the lowest inductance of all of these drivers. So we can say that even from these, we can kind of tell that these three most likely are going to be mid-ranges, and these might be wide bands that could play all the way up. Now from these we have different FSs and different Qs, so we can have a look at those as well. The first column is FS, so the highest from all of these drivers is the Excursion, which is kind of, if it's an SPL brand, it's kind of expected. It's probably going to have sensitivity 90. It's not that high. We've seen much higher sensitivity in the first shootout. But yeah, quite high FS compared to all the others. And with the lowest, we have the Musway, 92 Hertz, and Rebec, 96 Hertz. So again, just to clarify, these were measured, everything was measured post-break-in. All the drivers were broken in. And just to compare to the first shootout, I added everything from scan 10F because I kind of said that I think in my opinion, it's the best driver from the whole bunch. So we're going to compare directly, not directly, to the scan 10F, all of these. The Q, nothing special. All of them are quite good. The two drivers that kind of stand out with slightly higher Q is the Ciare and the Excursion, 0.9. The lowest one is Rebec, 0.5. But all the others are very close to 0.7. And inductance, as I mentioned, so Awave, I don't know, one of the highest, 0.1. Then Rebec is highest, 0.16. And all the others are very, very good, especially these three. So DD Audio, Excursion, and Musway, they have super, super low inductance. So we're going to see if it's going to translate directly to distortion and stuff. And as I mentioned, the impedance, I already explained everything. Sensitivity, all of this bunch, they're not as sensitive as the ones that we tested in the first shootout. You can see them in the scan. It wasn't the most sensitive and it had 91. And from these, 90 is the highest. So these three drivers have the high sensitivity of 90, so Ciare, DD Audio, and Excursion. Now, I expected a bit more from the Ciare, maybe even from the DD Audio, but it is what it is. All the others, 88, 87, and Musway is the lowest one, 86 only, so it's very insensitive. And I don't know if I can correlate that to the fact that Musway is the only one that has a phase plug. And as you remember from the first shootout, the Illusion Audio that has a phase plug as well, it had the lowest sensitivity as well. So I think that phase plug that is not connected to the actual cone kind of robs the driver from the effective cone area, and that's why these drivers are very insensitive. Lowest crossover, we're gonna go to the distortion measurements and everything. From these, what stand out is the Ciare. It needs a very high crossover. It doesn't like to play low, so 300 kind of the lowest one. The DD Audio, Musway, and Rebec can be crossed as low as 200, and they're doing quite fine. And the others are 250, 250, 250, which is kind of expected. 200 to 250 is kind of normal. 300 is a bit high. And now the distortion. So let's have a look at the distortion. Here we have all the distortion stuff. As a reminder, I'm going to keep the same 0.5% as my target. Everything below 0.5% is super, super good. So as a reference, the scan 10F, you can see it's all the way, almost everything is below 0.5% at 90 dB, which is an excellent performance. So let's go one by one. Audio circle, everything below 1%, and we have like between 250 and 550. Slightly above 0.5%. Everything else is lower than 0.5%. So this is very, very good performance. It would be nice to see that area between 4 and 500 a bit lower, but everything is still below 1%. So it's very, very good performance. Awave, very similar actually, between 300 and 500, you can see kind of reaches 1%, but everything else is below half. And then we have everything above 2.2K is rising up the distortion. So with some drivers, we can see that distortion is going up, but with some, it's going down. Not sure why. But this one, it's good performance, respectable, but not lower than 0.5% as my target is. Ciare, a little bit better in the lower frequencies. You can see between 3 and 400 is like 0.7, 0.8%, which is very low. Everything else is much lower. However, everything above 2K is going up, 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 and all the way up to 2, 3, 4% at like 9K. So for playing high frequencies, it's not that nice. Probably you would want to use it as a dedicated mid-range. Then if you cross like 2, 3K, all that distortion goes away. And then relatively, it's a very clean driver. For the price especially, if we look at only the distortion, it's a very good performance. DD audio, one of the highest distortions, especially like at 600, you can see that peak that goes close to 2%. But apart from that, still everything below 1%, but not below half. So relatively speaking, it's not as good just because I set a very strict target of 0.5%. But at the higher frequencies, you can see this DD audio above like 1.7K or something, the distortion goes all the way down, so it plays very, very nice. The highest frequencies, very clean. Then the Excursion, very similar picture as well, more distortion in the lower frequencies, and at the higher frequencies, everything drops off. Still below 1%, little peak above like 390, 380 hertz, a little peak, but apart from that, nice, very nice, but still not below 0.5%. Musway, see? This is what I'm talking about. This is distortion that I really want to see. Everything is below 0.5%. Yes, we have those little peaks at like 250, 380, and 520, but those little peaks, very narrow, and everything else is below 0.5%, especially the high frequencies. Everything is trending down. So this driver has, I believe, the best distortion from all of them. So this Musway is the cleanest driver from all of them. And Rebec, yeah, this I think is the opposite. This is the worst driver from all of them. Now, it's again, relatively speaking, because still everything is below 1%. So it's not a bad driver. It's just compared to all the others that I have in this bunch, this is one of the worst performer, especially at the higher frequencies. It's really respectable performance, but relatively it's bad. And as I mentioned, the scan 10F, everything below. So from this we can say that scan and Musway, color is kind of the same, but scan and Musway have almost identical distortion profile. They measure very, very similarly. And I made some notes here. So we have, you see 111 and 222. So Awave, Ciare, and Rebec. Awave, Ciare, and Rebec. So these three, you can see they have very similar profile with rising top end. The only thing is that the Rebec has a lot of distortion here in the upper mid-range, but they have very, very similar profile. However, the other drivers, the Audio Circle, Excursion, and DD Audio, they have again very similar performance where they have slightly more distortion at the lower frequencies, and then the distortion goes down. So that's why I numbered like 111 and 222, because they have very similar distortion profiles. But Musway wins the distortion aspect. Next, let's have a look at the impulse. So from the impulse, what I did, I found that most of them perform very similar. The only ones that stand out is the Ciare, which is the green, and Audio Circle, which is the red. So let me show you. This is the Audio Circle. You can see this extends quite a lot. The Ciare, on the other hand, bam, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. This is what we want to see. Now, why is this big difference? I am not sure. And all the other drivers are very similar. They somewhere in between the Audio Circle and the Ciare. So the Awave, DD Audio, Excursion, Musway, and Rebec. So Rebec is slightly better, but 1, 2, and a little bit more ringing, but is not as good as the Ciare. And for reference, scan, again, very similar to Ciare, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So Rebec might be a bit better than the rest, but Ciare is the best from the bunch. And as I mentioned, Audio Circle is the worst from the bunch. And now let's have a look at the frequency response. From all of these, from the frequency response, two of these drivers, which is the Rebec and the Ciare, are mid-ranges. They don't play up to 20k, so they cannot be used as a full range driver. All the other ones can be used as full range drivers. So let's have a look at the frequency response now. So we will be looking at the near field response, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have the scan speak as a reference, because we did agree from the last time that ScanSpeak has the flattest frequency response with no major issues anywhere, just a little bit here and a little bit here. So let's have a look. Audio Circle, it's not that bad, all the way up to 3-4K, so if you're using as a mid-range, even up to 5.5K, it plays very nice, no major issues, no nothing. And then we have stuff happening all over the place. Let me remove this one, so you can see one peak here, and then something happening at a very, very top end, but not bad. So that's why I gave it a green. The other green is the Musway. So let's have a look. That's the Musway. And again, a little dip here, all the way up to 5-6K. It plays very nicely, a little dip. But basically, all the way up to 9K, no major issues. And then we have something here and a little bit peak here, probably a cone breakup. But in general, it's very nice. So that's why it got a green one. And the red one is Ciare. So let's have a look at Ciare. And this is the Ciare. So this is Nearfield, and I did test it with slightly different distances. So I did like literally next to the dust cap, like 1 centimeter away, 5 centimeters away, a little bit more away, just to check if there's anything with a cone or something. And in all the measurements, I have these two dips. Now, to me, it looks like maybe a resonance of some sort. I did check, the baffle is not buzzing or anything, so I'm really not sure what that is, but this is the worst frequency response from the bunch that I have. And again, as a reminder, this is Scan 10F. No issues, no problems. So if you use this driver up to like 2.5 as a mid-range, yeah, it's fine. It's no issues. But if you want to use it a bit more, if you want to cross it higher 4-5K, you're going to have this massive dip, which is not that nice. And all the other ones are kind of okay. So that's Awave. We've seen something similar in the first shootout. I don't remember which exactly driver that was, but yeah, a little dip, cone breakup. Not as bad, but not as nice as well. Then we have the DD audio. Again, very nice up to 4-5K. But then DD audio has massive issues like all the way above. Next in line, the Excursion. Excursion plays nice up to 3K or something. And then, yeah, this is very, very nasty. Now, could this be due to the grill? Maybe. But even with Ciare, that has these issues, they didn't change with different distance from the cone. They were still there, so not sure, but this is not nice at all. And finally, the Rebec. It's not bad, a little bump here, and then it kind of goes down up to 6K, and then we have something happening here. So you can see that nothing really stands out apart from this, as I mentioned, Ciare and Audio Circle. You might like argue that Rebec is kind of similar. Maybe, but again, this is subjective evaluation, so take it for what it is. So this was the near field response. Now we can have a look at the far field. This is Scan 10F, far field from 1 meter away. As a reference, we can see very nice response all the way up to 17K. Now, Audio Circle, bam. I don't know why, but it's definitely not the baffle, because none of the other measurements, no other drivers are showing anything like this. If we have a look at the near field, we don't see this in the near field. So I'm really not sure, because if it would be like a resonance or something, that would show up in the near field as well, but it doesn't. The only thing that corresponds is these two peaks that kind of correspond. Let me remove the scan. And these kind of peaks as well correspond near field and far field. But this, I'm not sure what it is. Then we have Awave, which is It's not bad response, but at the top end, yeah, it plays a bit higher than the scan, but with bigger non-linearities. Then the Ciare. Ciare kinda, it looks like it has problems. And I had a look at a Ciare data sheet provided by the manufacturer, and I saw exactly the same, this little scoop out between 3 and 5K. Like that, it's exactly the same I have in the datasheet. So I'm confident that my measurements are good. It's just the driver not as good. But what can you expect from a driver that costs, what, 20 quid or something like that? And again, this is a mid-range, as I mentioned, 10K, and then it goes down. DD audio. DD audio is nice. It has a rising top end, so it would be something similar to the One Audio that I really like. And this driver can play all the way up. It has a little bit problems here, which kind of correspond with a near field response, but it is nice. It is a nice, very nice full range driver. Next one in line, the Excursion. This is nice as well, all the way up to 8.5K, very flat. And then we have this massive peak that kind of indicates that it's a wideband, but then it drops off. Not like DD audio, where it kind of goes much further, but this one has a very high cone breakup, which you can see here. It kind of corresponds with this peak. So not bad at all. And then the Musway, which has a very similar response, just you can see they're almost identical with the Excursion. However, the extension is a bit more, so it plays a bit higher, but the response is very similar. Nice all the way up to 8.5K, and then it needs kind of EQ down. And the Rebec, the last one, it's kind of, I don't know, like a Ciare, similar. Wiggles and squiggles all the way. It's not linear, like if you compare it to Scan 10F, you can see the scan is much more linear than that, and it plays up to 10K, and then it kind of drops off. So yeah, this Rebec is not as nice, I want to say. So from these, what I chose the Ciare as red, which is this one, because it has the most non-linearities and it drops off, especially like this area. And I chose green for Musway and Audio Circle. So Musway and Audio Circle. I think I mixed them up. I think it's supposed to be the Excursion, not Audio Circle, because yeah, this is not nice. I think it was supposed to be the Excursion. Let me change it very quickly. There we go. Excursion and the Musway. Yes, because these have very similar responses. But yeah, Scan is still a winner. It's much linear compared to all the other ones. And now, finally, let's have a look at the price. So the price-wise, they're very similar. The two standouts are these two, which is the Awave and the Ciare. So Ciare, the cheapest ones, similar to Fatal Pros, which cost like £20 a driver. Very cheap. Stamp steel basket, as I mentioned. Huge production numbers, that's why the price is cheaper. Awave is 85 quid, which is double the Ciare, but still less than all the others. And all the others, we have these one kind of the similar price, Excursion and Musway, £130. And then we have the Audio Circle, DD Audio, and Rebec, close to 200 quid. So from all of these, what would be my subjective conclusion, if I want to say? What I really like is, I really like the Musway. Because £130, it has a lot of green stuff happening for it, especially the distortion. It has the lowest distortion, quite low crossover frequency, so you can cross it low. The only downside to this driver is the sensitivity. So you cannot have it all, so it has to be, something has to give. So the lowest sensitivity is kind of a drawback, but the Musway from all of these, to me, is the nicest driver. Now, which driver I want to put in red? I would like to put this one, but I really won't, because it is the cheapest driver. So £20 per driver, obviously, is not gonna be that good. Fatal Pros are kind of exception, I want to say, because Fatal Pros, for that cheap price, they do perform very good. However, this, it is a cheap driver, so it's not linear, it needs a high crossover. Distortion is not perfect. It's not bad, but like for the price, I cannot say that it's a bad driver just because it's very cheap. What stands out to me is the Audio Circle and the Rebec. So the Audio Circle in general, it's not as bad, but it has the worst impulse. Like relatively to all the other ones, it has the worst impulse. Distortion is not that bad, and in the impedance plot we saw some wiggles and squiggles happening. And Rebec, it has the highest inductance, it has the highest distortion. Are these two related? Maybe, not sure, because Musway, you can see it has the lowest inductance and lowest distortion, but at the same time the Excursion has quite high distortion while still having very low inductance. So not sure, but this, yeah, very high inductance and the highest distortion. It is a mid-range, it's not a wideband, so you cannot play it all the way up. Sensitivity is not there as well, and it costs £170. So for £30 extra, get a scan speak, and you're gonna have much better driver overall. And all the other ones, DD Audio is quite expensive, the most expensive from the bunch. It does have quite a few good things happening for it. However, I did expect it to have much higher sensitivity. With 90, it's nothing really special. And for 210, again, I personally would go with scan because why not? So I think that's it. I tried to cram everything into one video because I'm very busy with all the other projects. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be doing any other shootouts in the near future because I will be very busy with all the other stuff. However, I'm going to leave all of this data. All the data is going to be available for you to download so you can have a look at the distortion, at the impedance, at everything yourself. Everything is going to be uploaded to my Google Drive, and I'm going to leave the links in the video description. So if you want, you can have a look. You can add these measurements to the first shootout because, as I mentioned, they can be directly comparable. You can compare these drivers with the ones that I measured before, and you can do some analysis of your own. But that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.